Hello there, I'm Godwin Selassie Dapo, and this is Make It Legal. Welcome to my channel. Today, I have 10-point advice to all new lawyers. Stay tuned.
Make it legal.
Yes, I believe you've been called to the bar just this Friday and you're super excited about it. In fact, joining the legal profession in Ghana is a great pride, and we're all excited that you're a lawyer and you're going to be part of the legal profession. Today, I want to share with you 10-point advice I think you should know about as you start a career as a lawyer in Ghana. I deliberately divided this advice into three. They are 10 points. Now, the last one is my free point for all of you. So you should watch the video to the end and see that last point. It's very precious from me to you. But the first three will focus first on choosing a firm. All of you may be considering that. And the second one is considering remuneration that are offered to lawyers at the time of employment. And the third one is looking at the opportunity to learn in an organization or a firm. The last one is my free one for you. Watch the video to the end so you could listen to that. And I know you certainly need it. Now, let's get straight into it. But before that, there are two things I want you to have at the back of your mind. As you are part of the legal profession, you need to ask yourself two principal questions. Number one, what do I want from this profession? You have to ask yourself that question. What do you want? What sent you to law school in the first place? Is it because you want to make an impact in an area, in an industry? It could be in the oil and gas, in the energy sector, in corporate governance in general. What sent you to the law school? You need to ask yourself that question and know what you want, because you're going to have to decide the firm you join, the practice areas you focus on because of what you want. So address that issue with yourself first of all. What do you want? What sent you to law school? Why are you part of the legal profession? You need to ask yourself that question and be clear on it. Now, the second question I wanted to ask yourself is that, you see, in the legal profession, there are vast opportunities for you as a lawyer, but you must be ready to learn. So are you ready to learn, especially on the job? You need to ask yourself. The learning was not only hard in the law school or at the faculty level, it is harder in practice. So are you ready to learn? Now let's get straight to my 10-point advice to all of you who are lawyers. The very first one is about choosing a firm. And I have three pieces of advice for you. Now, my first advice has to do with disciple makers firm and non-disciple makers firms. There are firms that make disciples of lawyers. There are firms that do not make disciples of lawyers. What do I mean by that? Now, there are firms that you could trace a particular character, competence, and skill from all the lawyers that pass through that firm. So they deliberately train you to become like the senior partner or the managing partner. Everybody learn after his trade, his character, his skill. And people who often join such firms often like the managing partner or the senior partner and admire him and want to be like him, so to say, in the future or in the profession. So they join such a firm to learn under him. And as a disciple making firm, such a firm would train you just in the portrait of that particular person, his methods of litigation, his method of corporate transactions, and all of that, his approach to language as a writer, as a lawyer who is writing, and all of that. Those are the things he will teach you. So those firms are disciple makers firms, I call them. There are non-disciple makers firms. They are also very good firms, but their goal is not so much about raising great lawyers. In fact, they often get intimidated when a lawyer is becoming greater in the firm. So their focus is to make the firm big and the firm prosper and the profit increase so that all of you enjoy as workers. They are not seeking to make a mighty, great national lawyer of a sort. So they are non-disciple makers firms. So you will see that you have the managing partner or the senior partner in that firm with a particular trait, but all the lawyers who have passed under that particular lawyer do not have the same methodology of doing things, the same skill of lawyering in them, because the focus was not to disciple them and make them like him. That is just how it is. So decide which of these two, what do you want? So the second advice I have for you as far as choosing a firm is concerned is that you have the option to choose between a bigger firm or a smaller firm. And there are smaller firms include the medium firms as well. Now, big firms have at least a minimum of 20 lawyers who are all practicing law in various departments. And the smaller firm may have like a minimum of 5, I should say, lawyers. Now, the issue with the bigger firm is that if your goal of going there is to learn under the senior most lawyer in that firm. Chances are that for a whole week or a whole month, you may not even see him because he may be so busy and may likely pay attention to people who are senior to you than to you who is a junior. He may not pay attention to you who's a junior. So just have to know that that is what is going to be the reality when you get to a bigger firm. And sometimes the bigger the firm, the farther you are away from the senior most lawyers who could train you, who are more experienced to train you. And the smaller the firm, the closer you may be to the senior most lawyer who can train you. So the choice is yours. Maybe you are okay learning from those who are not so senior at the bar, and you or as compared to those who are very much senior at the bar, who are the head of the firm and all of that. So the choice is certainly yours to make. Bigger firm or smaller firm, they all have their both good and bad side. You have to make the choice. The third advice I have for you, which is to choose between following a senior or following the firm. Now, some of us would see a big firm, admire their brand, their journey so far, the fact that they are worldwide, they are global, they have influence, and the brand is great, and we want to join such, a promising firm that is doing well. So we follow the firm. We didn't identify any senior there that we really want to go and learn under for him to train us. So we are drawn by the firm and not by a senior. So the option is yours. You'll be drawn by a big firm that has all the brand, most time externally. They have the reputation. People talk about them in many ways. They do the big cases and all of that. Then the other side is the senior. You know a senior who you have seen many times in front of judges, and he's doing so well. And you just admire that and you just want to learn and be like that, kind of have that sort of trait. So you may consider going to learn under that senior. He can train you how he made it that far. He can also train you that way. Or you join a big firm where you get, to join the host of lawyers there, not necessarily minding who particular person is training you. There's a choice is yours between the two. You have to choose one side that may most favor you. Now, my second advice has to do with remuneration. This is a big one for all of us. We are in a season where many of us find economic situations very hard. I guess you also find it very hard, like I do. Yeah, so things are tough economically. So people are looking at money to make every or almost all decisions. I think you may also be doing the same thing. You may also be asking yourself certain questions as far as money is concerned before you decide to join a firm or stay in a particular practice area. Now, before we get into the three advice I have for you when it comes to remuneration and the lawyer's work or lawyer's employment, let's take a look at some of the remuneration they often pay lawyers. The first one is monthly salaries. You get that? The second one is monthly or quarterly allowances. Some firms will pay you monthly or quarterly allowances. Some firms will also give you what they call incentives, or it could be quarterly, it could be yearly. Some firm would also have that. Some firm would also have what we call case-based commission. So they give you commission because you handle a particular case. It could be percentage based, maybe 30%, 40%, 60%, what have you. Then we also have case by case transportation allowances where the firm will allow you to be paid by the client to, transport yourself to something decent that can cater for you to transport yourself to the court, buy water on the way, or have lunch or something like that. So that is also an option there. Some firms may not allow you to do that. They will give you, say, something small to transport yourself to court and come back. Sometimes it may be the same money, or it could be just something a little above what will transport you to court, or sometimes it could be exactly what will transport you to court. So that is also there. Then we also have end of year allowances, and firms will also give you an end of year allowance when the year ends, the legal year ends. So now that you know these types of remunerations, I want us to take a look at my three advice I have for you. Now, the first one has to do with higher remunerations versus higher capacity to earn. Now, this is a big one. We are looking at money to make a decision, but most often than not, in the long run, those who look at money to make a decision often make mistake of overlooking how to build capacity to earn the money themselves. So are you going to that firm because their salary is higher than a firm that is offering low but gives you a capacity to earn the money yourself? Maybe you are someone who doesn't think that you can build a capacity to earn the money yourself. So you rather go to a firm that is paying you higher remuneration at once. Well, my advice to you would be that in the long run, you are often better off building capacity to earn the money than earning the money without building a capacity for it. So when it comes to higher remuneration versus capacity to earn, you have to choose between the two. And the choice is yours to make. The second one I have is more work to earn versus better promotion to earn. There are firms that more work you get, the more you earn because they give you more cases to handle. And the more cases you handle, the more money you get from those cases because maybe they may paying commission and then each case gives you a commission. So you earn more by doing more of the cases. There are also some firms that would pay you more in salary because you are promoted. So if you are 1 year at the bar, your salary may be very low compared to someone who in the same firm with 6 years at the bar. Sometimes it could even be that you are more hardworking than the person who is 6 years at the bar. But the policy doesn't permit people to be remunerated just based on more work. It is about how senior you are at the bar or how high you have been promoted. So you have to choose between the two. Do you want to get a firm where when your salary will increase, it will mean that you have been promoted? Or want to go to a firm where when you earn more money, it means that you have actually been able to do more work. The choice is yours to make. Then the last advice I have, and this one, which is my sixth advice for you, is ability to bring briefs on board versus inability to bring briefs. Some firms makes it easier for lawyers, especially junior lawyers, to bring their own cases to the firm and handle and take their share of the profit, or the firm also take its share. Some firms would permit you to bring it, but their system naturally doesn't allow, encourage people, I should say, to bring it. So they will tell you to bring your cases on board, but you realize that there's so much case already in the firm, your own doesn't really matter. I give you a clear example. Now, if you're a young lawyer who just get called to the bar, all your colleagues are possibly 2 or 3 years as workers who might have completed business administration, management, engineering courses in other areas. So they are also young workers in their various sectors. And they are the ones who would give you the cases you need. The guy who wants to start a business now is just 6 months to the business. He can't afford to pay 10,000 cedis or 100,000 cedis as a legal fee that your firm may want to charge. But he can take maybe a standard that meets his circumstances, say 10,000, 5,000, just for the case. Now, if that is what he can take, would your firm permit you to bring the 10,000 case, or they will say it is not worth their time? If it is not worth their time, chances are that particular friend is going to leave you to go to another firm that will take their 10,000 and do the work for them. And that particular firm that accept them, the guy will grow with them. When he becomes the rich business guy in the country, the guy who has been helping him when he was not having so much will be the same guy who would help him now that he has so much. So the smaller firm who have accepted a smaller client grows with that particular person. And you as a lawyer, you have the opportunity to grow with your colleagues who are in various sectors of business and practices. You have to grow with them. So it's a big consideration you have to look at. Sometimes people will tell you that, oh yes, at the first interview, we'll allow you to bring your cases in and this is the percentage, but the reality doesn't really match up to that first time interview. So ability to bring your briefs on board and then the inability to bring it on board really matters in remuneration. All right, so the third category, which includes my 7, 8, 9 advice for you, looking at opportunity to learn from the firm. Now, when you are going to choose a firm, I want to give you 3 advice as far as looking at opportunities to join a firm is concerned. The very first one, which is my number 7 advice here, is that you personally must be prepared to learn on the job. So look for a firm that gives people opportunity to learn on the job. There are firms that will tell you that because you are a junior, you may not be able to handle certain clients, and their brand will not permit you to make certain mistakes. But some firms will permit you, they will train you alone and send you to court, send you to meetings alone to go and work on cases, sometimes regardless of how big or small the case is, because they want you to learn. So you will go there and make a mistake and come back, and they will correct you the next time you go again, and then you get to learn. But some of them, they will not send you alone because they are not sure you are going to perform well, because they are junior, they don't really trust you yet, so they can't send you go handle the case all alone. So between the two, one certainly gives you more opportunity to learn because you learn from your mistakes as you make them. And some mistakes can be costly, but you need to learn from mistakes anyway. So some firms are willing to measure the mistake and say, you know what, we are willing to bear this mistake because you have to learn and become a great lawyer. Some will say, no, we are not willing to bear that mistake just because you, a junior lawyer, wants to learn. So look at firms that give you opportunity to learn, even if you mean making mistakes to learn. That is how it is. Then also, you also need to look out for firms that employ technology in their management. Now, the world is changing. Technology is making the world a different place altogether. And the legal profession is not left out of it. We are also using technology to assist our practice and to help in how we deliver legal service better. Third one, which is the last and ninth advice I have for this category, is that you have to be willing yourself to adopt self-learning habits as a lawyer to maximize your learning opportunity. Now, you need to learn yourself as a lawyer. Nobody may really be teaching you like a classroom. They will sit you down and teach you. No, it doesn't happen again. What really happens is that they give you a work, you do it, and out of the work you learn. So as you go finding the case, you go finding the authorities, you go interviewing the client, you go speaking to people about whatever you want to do, you are learning. You go speaking to the institutions of states, you are learning. That is how it is. So you have to be able to have that consciousness that you will have to learn yourself. You have to have a habit that is capable of learning by yourself on the job. Okay, so we've made it to the last one, which is the 10th point advice I have for you. I promise you this is going to be the one you love most and it's my dearest one to you. What is this advice? Now, I decide to call it what you need to do to be ahead of your colleagues. Must you really be ahead of your colleagues? Maybe yes, maybe not. But I think you should try to be ahead in getting good results, to be ahead in performing better, to be ahead in prospering at the bar and progressing in life. You should be ahead. But there are some things that I think you should do. Four things as a lawyer who is just starting out tomorrow or Monday. The first one is practice the basic law you know, and litigation helps do that. You see, we go to law school and we learn evidence law, civil procedure, criminal procedure, corporate and commercial governance. We learn all of these things, and a large portion of it is procedural law. Of course, we learn substantive law in the faculty level, but the practice actually is how to understand the procedure. And if you are a lawyer, you don't know how the procedure really works. Chances are that you will have a lot of difficulty when you start emerging in certain industry because you need to appreciate how the legal system works, and litigation gives you that opportunity. So I often advise people that when you get to a firm, the first 2 years, start litigation, do it like never before. Be up and doing, be sent to Takwa to do cases alone and do all those rounds. Get to interview lawyers, get to interview clients, get to interview people, get to go to the court, get embarrassed by the judge, get to speak to the lawyers, get to speak to colleagues, lawyers after court, get to speak to the court officials, get to speak to the institutions of state. Just get to understand the legal system and how it works in practice. You need to go out there and be up and do. If you don't focus on that in your first years of practice, chances are that you forget the basic law when you want to go and do it after 3 or 4 years. You'll forget all the basic law you know. So in the very beginning, find the opportunity or the time to practice the basic law you know. Practice it, use it, use it to understand the legal system. Make it a channel to appreciate how the legal system works. I know some people may prefer to do corporate all their life. So they don't want to have anything to do with litigation at all. But sometimes you still will have to consider litigation. It creates some toughness in you. It creates some confidence in you. It gives you the opportunity to have your own law tested, your own argument tested. And when you are declared that you have won the case, it boldens you. And that confidence is what you may need to actually excel in the corporate field as well. You may see the clear difference among a lot of lawyers you see out there, those who have done pure corporate and those who have done corporate cases. Sometimes even when a litigation lawyer meets a corporate lawyer, they oftentimes have some sort of perceptions about each other. And if you have been in the litigation field and now at corporate, that perception oftentimes doesn't really show. Of course, the corporate guys who you have now joined may look at you some way for some time, but oftentimes I would advise people that, you know what, start with litigation or do more of it from the beginning once you learn from other areas and other areas of interest. So do more of litigation from the investment. The second advice I want to give you, which is part of my last best advice I have for you, is look out for emerging areas of practice that people are not paying attention to. Not everybody is paying attention to emerging areas. Our age is a different age. Many things are happening. Many areas of law are emerging, from IT to media to entertainment to sport. Laws are all over in every human life, and lawyers are needed to, practice the law in those areas because solutions are needed in all those areas. So be learning and looking out for opportunities in emerging areas that people are not paying attention to. Maybe you will be the one to make it a big deal in Ghana. Pay attention to areas people are not paying attention to. You would be the one to lead in that dispensation. Now, the third one is that, you know what? Lawyers move from firm to firm literally every year or every 2 year or every 3 year in staying in a particular firm. It is often a right you have to move out of a firm if you don't like it anymore. Don't be intimidated or afraid to make the move of joining another firm if you are not able to achieve your dreams how you want it in a particular firm. Of course, I'm not saying you should be impatient and rush out of a firm because you're not making quick money as you wanted it. You should take your time to learn. But if it is so obvious that opportunities to learn are not there or are not being given, please make a move. Move to the next firm and join them. It is often the case. We don't get stuck at one place. It's a profession, and oftentimes we are all professionals. We want to exercise our professional right. We want to use our professional intelligence to appreciate things. So if you are not able to do that in the firm, chances are that you may not be able to utilize your professional skill and grow. So you may consider moving out and join another firm. If that one doesn't work, join another one again. If it doesn't work all along, you can set up yours. After 6 months of people, you are free to set up your own firm. Why not? You can set it up and start from small. Anything small has the chance to grow. The same way the firm you probably are joining now started small and grew. So don't be afraid to start a new thing if you have the chance to do so. The last one, which is so dear to me, and that this last advice, which is my best one for you, is that be aware of many things. Number one, be aware of competition. People compete among themselves as lawyers. You should be aware of competition. Not everybody is going to excel in the first 2 years of practice. Not everybody will buy their car in the first year of practice. Not everybody will buy their car in the second year of practice. Some will not even buy it in the third year of practice. It is quite normal. And beware of perceptions. Once you start practicing, your family members, society, the church, they have perceptions about lawyers already, and they have settled all that in their mind. And once that is settled in their mind, chances are that they are going to view you with the lens of those perceptions. So beware of perceptions. They think lawyers are so rich and they have a lot of money. Well, I don't know. Some lawyers are rich, but you and I know the richest people in the world. We know the richest people in Ghana. We know the millionaires we have in Ghana. People think lawyers are very rich and very, very, very wealthy. It could be true for you, it could be false for you, but there are perceptions about lawyers. You just have to know. Then also beware of the pride of the law. Man, knowing this thing called law can make you feel sometimes too comfortable and happy and thinking you're above everyone else and disobeying all rules, thinking that because you're a lawyer, you can go fight it out. You have to be aware. I wish you the very best at the bar. My name is Gordon Selassie Dapo, and this is Make It Legal.
Make it legal.